It was something that happened to me at one point. I wish it hadn't happened, but it did, and now it's a memory I can't forget. It all started on a Friday evening. I was getting ready to go out and I wore a simple mini skirt and a simple top. It was just one of those outfits, you know. Yes, it felt like going out and I felt confident. Tonight is going to be good, I thought. My husband and I had made a plan. We were going to meet some of his friends at a bar. Obviously, I wasn't too keen, but he wanted me to go. Okay, I said, and I finished getting ready. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Even though it was a simple outfit, I felt good. Not too much, not too little, just the right balance. It made me feel like I wasn't invisible. Tonight was going to be a different night, but of course I didn't know what it would be. We arrived at the bar and the atmosphere was quite ordinary. A place where everyone could relax, have some fun after a long week. We went in, and my husband immediately went to his friends. I just stayed there. I thought, okay, what do I do now? It seemed strange to just stand and wait. So I decided to go to the bar and get a drink. As I was walking towards the bar, I realized that I had caught the attention of one of my husband's friends. I had chatted with him a few times before, but I hadn't said much to him. But this time, it was different. The way he looked at me was strange. It wasn't just a quick look, it was a longer, deeper look. That's when I realized that while I was waiting for the drink, he was watching me. It was impossible to ignore that look. I could feel the mood changing, like he was sizing me up, and it made me uncomfortable. Still, I tried to act as if nothing was happening, but there was an uneasiness inside me. My heart started to race. Then, all of a sudden, he walked up to me. I had a strange feeling. I had butterflies in my stomach. I was trying to act normal, but my pulse was racing. When he finally reached me, we just looked at each other for a few seconds. In that moment, it felt like time stopped. "Hey," he said. The ease in his voice was fake. There was a hint of tension behind it. I felt that he was trying to appear calm, but there was an inexplicable energy. "Hey," he said. I answered him with a half smile, trying to keep the conversation light. I mean, this is my husband's friend, right? I acted like we'd never had awkward moments like this, but this wasn't the usual small talk. "You look great tonight," Will said. It seemed like a perfectly ordinary compliment, but something about the way he said it bothered me. It was as if he wasn't just talking about something on the surface, but implying something deeper, more personal. The way his eyes lingered on me, as if he wasn't just looking at his friend's wife. "Thank you," I said, trying to brush it off. I was trying to keep it light. I was here, I just wanted to have a good time, but I couldn't understand why the air had suddenly gotten so thick. Will leaned in close enough that there was barely any space between us. He acted like we were old friends, but we weren't. "How's Jeff? Is he okay?" Will asked, leaning in. He was a little too close, and it immediately made me nervous. Jeff, my husband. Of course, I knew what he was doing, trying to move the conversation to a safer place. But it wasn't working. It was like he was doing it on purpose. He was testing the waters. "Jeff's fine," I said, a little high-pitched. I was trying to hide my nervousness, but Will's gaze was still on me. And then, I'm not kidding. He touched my arm lightly. It was so quick and so small that it went unnoticed. But it still sent a shockwave through me. I tried to ignore it, but my heart was racing. It was as if all limits were going to be pushed tonight. And then, Will leaned in, his face inches from mine. "Are you sure your husband is okay with you wearing that outfit?" he whispered. This was definitely crossing the line. I don't know if it was his tone or the touch of his breath on my skin that shocked me so much, but everything froze inside me. My heart was beating so fast that I thought everyone around me could hear it. "Excuse me?" I replied, trying to keep my voice casual. But this was a moment when I couldn't pretend I didn't feel anything. I found it hard to believe what he had just said. Was he really questioning my outfit? He was just standing there, too close for comfort. His eyes were watching me as if he was waiting for an answer. But I knew it wasn't just a joke. There was a deeper meaning. Will was pushing the boundaries, and then his eyes traveled over me again. From head to toe, down to my miniskirt, like he was measuring me. "You know Jeff," he said. "He's a pretty protective guy, isn't he?" It was as if what he said about Jeff was just a cover. He was really testing me, trying to see how far he could go. I wasn't sure how much more I could take. "Will, trust me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but it was noticeably sharper. "You don't have to worry about what I'm wearing." I tried to take a small step back, thinking maybe that would make him take a step back, but no, he wasn't taking a step back. Instead, he took a step closer. I realized that I could no longer avoid this conversation, and right here, everything became even more complicated. Will's uncomfortable knowing grin was getting under my skin. It was getting under my skin, making me uneasy. "I'm not worried," I said. "Just curious." "Curiosity killed the cat," Will replied. As soon as the word left my mouth, I regretted it. I was trying to push him away. If I showed him I wasn't interested, maybe he would stop. But no, he wouldn't. "Are you sure?" he said, his voice suddenly lowering. It was as if he was telling me a secret. "Wouldn't that be fun?" I felt knots in my stomach. This was no longer a simple conversation. It wasn't even a friendly conversation. It had turned into something else entirely. At that moment, I should have gotten up and left, grabbed my drink, and returned to my husband. But for some reason, I froze in place. My breathing was shallow and my mind was spinning in confusion. I didn't know what he wanted from her, but I was sure I didn't like where this was going. Will placed his hand lightly on the side of my waist before I had a chance to answer my question. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a touch. It was intentional, something I was meant to feel. I knew he had no intention of leaving, that he wasn't going to back down. At that moment, I felt trapped. This was not an ordinary situation. Now I knew the conversation was over. I was drawn into a strange game, and I didn't know the rules. Finally, my voice came out a little louder than a whisper. "Will, don't." But he just smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It wasn't even a smile. It wasn't a smile that put me at ease, but a smile that made me feel on edge. It was as if he knew something he was hiding from me. And that's when I realized that I was standing caught in front of my husband's best friend. Everything felt so wrong that I didn't know what to do. Before I could think, Will leaned in again. This time much closer. I was about to say, "Let go of me," when he whispered something that completely shook me. "Why don't you come with me? Let's have some real fun, just the two of us." At that moment, my whole being screamed that I should walk away. But my body was frozen. Will's words hung in the air, like a thick, heavy fog. For a moment, I couldn't process them. I just stood there, my heart racing. Had I heard right? Had he really said that? "Are you sure?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. Will didn't answer. Instead, he moved closer. Now I could feel the warmth of his breath on my neck, and he whispered again, his voice sending shivers down my spine. "You know what I mean. You feel it, don't you? The way we look at each other, the way you look at me." His words hit me like a punch. But I hadn't looked at him like that. I hadn't. I was here, just one night out, having fun with my husband and his friends. But now, everything felt so wrong. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I tried to take a step back, but Will wasn't moving. The distance between us was almost gone. His hand was still on my waist, like a weight I could feel pressing down. I wanted to push him away, but a part of me, a stupid part of me, stayed, like I'd been waiting. Will leaned in once more and spoke in a low voice. "Nobody has to know. It's just you and me. No one else will know." My mind was spinning. I knew it wasn't right, that it had to stop, but what he was saying felt like he was offering me a way out. Everything in me was screaming against it, but part of me was being pulled towards him with an energy I couldn't explain. If you want to know more, leave a comment and subscribe.